Hey, dream weavers and plant lovers, and welcome back to the Herbs and Dreams podcast, where we explore how to weave our lives with the wisdom of dreams in alliance with the healing plants of Mother Earth on behalf of all life. You are in for a treat, dear ones. You're in for a blessing. Grandmother Jyoti Ma is an internationally renowned spiritual teacher. She has cultivated projects that demonstrate ways of life that honor the earth and all peoples. As the grandmother vision keeper of the Center for Sacred Studies, she co-founded Kayumari with spiritual communities both in America and Europe. Other projects she has helped to convene are the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers and the Unity Concert. She is the founder of The Fountain, whose mission is to restore an economic model that's based on reciprocity and collaboration guided by nature and the sacred. She serves as a delegate of the Mother Earth Delegation of United Original Nations, and it is through this current work, in collaboration with The Fountain, that a global Sacred Territories initiative is evolving to protect Mother Earth's sacred sites and her original peoples. Jyoti Ma has devoted her life to bringing unity to the planet by facilitating the development of alliances between individuals who are the guardians of Indigenous culture and traditional medicine ways. Through this work, collaborative relationships with organizations that are focused on economic, social, and environmental solutions have developed, creatively addressing the global challenges of our times. Links to all of Jyoti Ma's organizations and initiatives are in the show notes, and I highly recommend, in fact, I ask from my heart to yours, that you go and check out all of the initiatives that Grandmother Jyoti Ma has been and is a part of. The work that she is doing is planetary changing, is planetary healing, is planetary evolving, and I can truly say that Grandmother Jyoti Ma is one of my greatest inspirations. I first heard about her when I encountered the work of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, which, by the way, if you don't know about them, please, please, please go read about them, check them out. And so truly, again, dear ones, you are in for a treat. You are in for a blessing, just as I was when Grandmother Jyoti Ma graciously said yes to have this conversation with me. A quick note before we dive in that the way that interviews like this with Grandmother Jyoti Ma are made possible is through your support. Please, if you are receiving medicine and healing, if the destiny seeds in your heart are being watered by these episodes, go to my website, herbsanddreams.com, where you can become a supportive member of the podcast. For $8 a month, you gain access to a growing community of dream weavers and plant lovers who also care about the earth. You also will get to help shape the course of the podcast, asking questions, sharing dreams, and making requests on future guests. And you're supporting me being able to continue to tend this project, to do these kinds of interviews, to do the editing and the production, to bring it out to you on behalf of the whole web. And so enjoy, dear ones, your time with Grandmother Jyoti Ma. Kind of like I was saying earlier, Jyoti Ma, I just want to reiterate that this is a bit of a pinch me moment for me. Just because I really can't overstate how inspirational you've been in my life. And I guess just fellow human to fellow human, from my heart to yours, I want to thank you for all that you've done for the whole web of life and for all of us and for all of our relations and the inspiration that you are and that you hold. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. It humbles me, this introduction, that I want to just take all that praise and those blessings you just showered and really pass it up to her, because she's the one that's got us both.
Yeah. Yep.
She swallowed us and put our lives into motion so that we could be instruments in in something she's unfolding right now during these very prophetic times. And and so I'm always learning. And I'm always grateful when she brings me together to sit with those who are helping her weave this tapestry for the dawn, the new dawn coming. So, I just want to thank you for your good work. I know a little bit. I want to know more, because I can see that you are good medicine for our time. So thank you, Lauren, for all that you're helping to bring forward.
Mm, thank you. I too am opening my heart to take that in. Well, I want to just keep going with that. Like you said, these are prophetic times. We're on the cusp of the new dawn. And would you share with us, Jyoti Ma, the prophecy of the Kaggaba people that I believe was given 13 years ago? Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, they walk with the condor prophecy. Other nations do as well. I can only report from the place of service I was brought into, and they opened up that prophecy has been carried for generations. And it foretold a moment of great change, the great turning that we're in right now. I like to say it prepares, prophecy prepares us, and then it instructs us, and so it's doing both right now because we're in such a big moment of choice. In 2013, I was brought down with a small group of others, mostly indigenous leaders from around the world, because they were about to open another part of that prophecy. And they told us that we would go into 13 years of the Great Cleanse. And so if you look from 2013 and you watch how it increased that cleansing process as it moved through pandemics and through all the things that we've gone through in these last 13 years. This is the last year of that 13-year cleanse. And they say then the ending will fall into the beginning in 2026.
Mm,
They say it's important to watch the ending as it falls down because it will instruct us, inform us, but to stay focused on that which is breaking through. And that which is breaking through will be carried by those individuals and organizations and movements that are living original principle of love and unity, reciprocity, collaboration, peace, heart. All life is sacred.
mm,
So that's a moment of which speaks to us about when we are coming to a point of return.
mm,
We're returning to an original way of life where the Mother Earth herself gave the original protocols to her original caretakers in each of her territories so they would know how to care for life and how to care for her creation to make it sustainable for all life within that creation. Human species is in and as a part of that creation story.
mm,
And so that's kind of the moment that we're poised in right now in a really strong way. And I've, over the last 40 years, I've been called to walk with our original people, be initiated by them, instructed by them, in service to them, and particularly been given a mission where we are really wanting to make a platform that brings that original voice and that wisdom, that ancestral wisdom, into to full view for others, because their time, all of their prophecies, where they have kept them all these years through generations, have not been so public in their ministering. But now they're being told it's important to share these moments of prophecy and the wisdom they carry. And this prophecy is carried also by many spiritual lines of prayer from around the planet. So it's a real moment where unification is the current
mm,
where that's pulling us in and to through that keyhole into the new dawn.
mm. Yeah. So I heard this prophecy through your organization. I think at that point it was the center through the Center for Sacred Studies, and I probably heard that in 2015, and was really great medicine for me in the times of breakdown for context for preparation. I guess name mostly for the listeners that yeah, how powerful it can be when we walk in companionship.
And
The
I've been working down in Colombia, in the La Sierra Nevada, with the four original people. And for those that are listening, if they want to know more about the peoples, they can see a film called Aluna. It's on Netflix, and I think it's on YouTube. And it was made, oh, it's probably been 30 years ago now. It tells about these four original people. And at this point, I've worked with three of those four, the Wiwa, the Arawaka, and the Kogi, or which they prefer to be called now the Kaggaba. And in the last several years, I've been really instructed to be in full service now with the Kaggaba. They're really bringing about some major healing process in what they call, the La Sierra is called the heart of the world.
mm,
And I walked many years with my sister Loretta Afreda Bear Cook in the Black Hills, and that is the Great Sioux Nation. That is their sacred territory. And in English, it's called the heart of everything that is. So the work we've been doing for all these years has really been in the heart of this great Mother Earth,
mm,
and her heart is pulsing, and it's sending out an impulse that's catching people in the service of what she's needing right now. She gave a message to us almost, it'll be 2 years in December. It's called the Mother's Message, and you can go on thefountain.earth.org, and you can see there's several buttons at the top on that home page, and under initiatives, it's Mother's Message. It's strong message. It's a
yeah.
very strong message, but it's, when I sent it out, it went viral very quickly, and many of our indigenous nations let us know that they're receiving the same messages and with the same time frames.
Mm,
So we got to listen to this, even if it's hard truth we have to hold and be with, because the mother is in a 26,000 year cycle change. When I was in India on pilgrimage, I'd go into ashrams and sacred places, and they'd have a clock on the wall. And from 12 to 1, it'd be 2,500 years. From 1 to 2, another 2,500. And so it went around the clock for 26,000 years. And that very last little thread there, they call it the Kali Yuga. That's when the ending's falling.
mm,
That's when we're going through that final stage of a cycle. That's why I prefer to say to people, it doesn't serve us to point fingers at ourselves or others that something went wrong, and who's at fault and who's to blame and how to shame. All those kinds of things will take us and distract us away from the mission of the turning. And so, because at the end of a cycle, it's just what it is, the end of a cycle. We've been learning in this cycle all about separation. What is our diversity about? How are all the different cultures held? What are their root cultures? What are their protocols the earth gave them in those original days, so we could walk and remember and restore our connection to Mother Earth, so we can be more mindful in the ways that we carry on with Mother Earth right now. She's been so exploited. That's why the Mother's Message came out, because we continue to still drop bombs. We continue to still extract. We've got to put Mother Earth first. We've got to see that she wants us to come through things in a good way, and she's in a turning. It's like a mom giving birth. You can't stop the birth once it's begun. You just got to rub your belly and work with it so that you can make it as gentle as possible to that new dawn, that new life coming, this new story, when we move into the next 26,000 year cycle, which is really going to be a teaching on unity.
mm,
So we're moving from the Mother Earth, from what my elders, particularly my grandma Rita Blumenstein, who was Yupik up in the cold country. She was part of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Women, and she would share her grandmother's teachings a lot. And her grandmother told us that in the original days, the birds all there were white. And then the mother had to start moving into her chakras and waking herself and understanding herself. And those first lower chakras taught us all about being human, human survival, that there would come a time when we would move from that third power chakra into the fourth, the heart. And at that moment, the birds would start to turn, they would turn from black, where they had gone, and now back to the original color of the white. And when that occurred, we would know we were moving into these new times of Mother's heart. She told us that right now, this moment, as this transition into the heart happens, that humans will become human beings for the first time. And so if you think about it, in these last few years, we've had white buffaloes and white whales and white species from different species have appeared. So we are definitely in that moment of the turning, the ascension into the heart. And the intelligence of this great earth is guiding and lighting our way.
Jyoti Ma, you say she told us. She told us. And I know for myself how I hear her. And I'm wondering if you could teach us about just like how do we listen? How do you listen? How does your community listen? How do you receive and perceive her instructions? And how do you know that they're from her? Anything you would share with us about listening?
Well, thank you for asking that, because that's a really important question. And because in order to restore a connection to the earth that got cut, like in the late 1400s, our connection with Mother Earth got cut. We started to move into this more materialistic way of life, where life was a commodity. And that's brought us to where we are right now. And so when you begin to wake to that need to restore that connection, the first place to go is go sit with nature. Go sit in a place that really calls you, not with your mind. Let your body tell you where to go. Follow that intuition. Maybe it's in your backyard under your favorite tree. Maybe it's up in the forest. Maybe it's down by the sea. Wherever your spirit needs to go sit there and just be still and listen. Really listen. When for our community, when we started Kayamari, which is a spiritual community that began in 1995, it began there with our land and on the top of a mountain in the Sierra foothills of California. But we had been meeting together for several years prior to that. So we've been walking as a community for 35 years or more. And we have a community that's outside of Prague that just celebrated being 26 years old. And I had a home inside the Brazilian Amazon for 22 years. I had to let go of some years ago just because I got to a place with my own physicality that I couldn't keep going so deep into the interior. But she then brought me other places she needed me to be, you see. So that's that deep listening. When you start to restore that, then all of a sudden, when that connection is restored, you realize you have this dialogue going on with her all the time. Things happen. I mean, I remember that some years ago when I was at the Jung Institute studying transpersonal psychology there, I had brought my family, and it was a hard transition into a new culture, new language, new everything. It was shocking. And how to find a place to live and how to take care of my children, get them in school, these kind of things. So I was really having a really low day one day, and I got in my car and I just went and I played Alan Parsons because his music inspires me. And I just drove. I let my intuition just take me where it wanted to. And it brought me to this field. And there was this huge, beautiful field of nature and hundreds of white butterflies.
Oh my gosh.
White, and I think there were some yellow ones also. I got out and I went and I mingled amongst these butterflies. And by the time I walked back and got in my car, they had cleaned all this self-doubt and this fear off of me. That's how nature is. She loves us. That level of relationship occurs. when we first came up to the mountain to start Kayamari, my community, we really had this intention, the intention that was clear, is we wanted to step out of a box of throwaway society.
Mm.
We declared longevity with one another. We declared that when waters of life get difficult, because they do at times, that we would declare longevity. We would stay in the boat. We wouldn't jump out. We wouldn't do, when something goes wrong, I'll get a new car, or something breaks down, I'll get a new this, or the relationship has trouble, I'll get a new one. All of these throwaway habits that we had, we wanted to erase those and come back to a place of longevity and see what the teachings of longevity were about. We wanted our children to know Mother Nature. We wanted them to know that intelligence of nature. And so we went to sit there, and we had a 14-mile logger road that elders would come up, and they would start to teach us, to train us up, to help us remember. And in 1995 is when we formed our community. Around 1998, in ceremony, the mother came and she said to me, I'm going to give you one of my most treasured baskets. And in this basket are some of my most precious jewels. Those jewels represent lines of prayer that go back to the original times. Do not mix them. Do not change them. Protect and keep them safe, and walk them through the doorway of the millennia and hand them back to me. I have something we're going to do. We didn't know what that meant, but then the elders started to come up that 14-mile logger road, and they began to train us in these different lines of medicine that went back to the original time. And as that happened over the next decade to our community, as that happened, we began to come back to ourselves. We began to remember ourselves. We began to hear and restore that connection with Mother Nature and the intelligence inherent in nature. We began to realize these protocols brought us to a way of life that honored all life as sacred. Our children were born into this as we were learning it. They came into our ceremonial ways, and it was not seen as something you went and did that was separate from who you are. It was all part of an original way of life that cared for all life. And she brought us instruments that would help us heal ourselves and clean ourselves and clean our minds. And as the mind gets quiet, then it dives down in, and it joins in the heart, and the intelligence of the heart opens. And that love, which is a dynamic intelligence, it lights and shines our way forward. So during that decade, we began to come back, restore ourselves. We began to learn how to hold these old lines of tradition without changing or mixing them, but holding them and protecting them through all different kinds of challenges that would come to be in the years that passed and went forward. We discovered in that process that nature began to speak all the time. She's always been speaking. We just haven't had the ears to hear her. So that's why your question at the beginning was, how do we do deep listening? The thing is that sometimes she's talking to you and there's a part of you that doesn't trust yourself. So you start to question the message you got. It means that what she has us doing and has been having us doing is learning how to live in the present moment. When we're in the present moment, Mother Earth is an alchemist. Timing is the element for alchemy, very significant timing. And so when she begins, she knows me, she knows my soul, she knows the alchemy of my process, so I can move and evolve and wake. She knows what I need in my present moment. So if I embrace what she gave me in that present moment, be it shadow material I need to look at, an aha wonder moment that arrives, and I must embrace whatever she brings, and that will take me to the next present moment. As we began to live in this way, we began to realize that when you do that, you've surrendered, and your mind and your ego are not what's leading anymore. The great ones are leading you, and you're following because you've restored a deep planted, seeded trust. And that trust also has to be restored with, so we trust ourselves and what we're receiving, and we trust that which is sending it. We trust, we trust it as a whole system. We begin to see it as a whole system rather than a fragmented or things in category, silos, if you will. We're trying to break out of our silos right now to come to flow into a mother pond where all things are collaborated. Then we have returned and restored an economic model that cherishes all life as and has that all has value, that each one of us, when we come with our uniqueness, are bringing a valuable thread to the table of the weaving of the great dawn. We're lucky because the original people have brought that thread from the original days into this day. They're sitting at the table with us. They're there to bring her instruction and their wisdom into the weaving of all of our threads into a tapestry of a new dawn. And that's the moment we're finding ourselves right now. So I know I've kind of touched on different ways that I wanted just to kind of at least share with you ways that how I've experienced how she dialogues. Sometimes it's a whisper, sometimes it's a shout.
Yeah. No, that was so beautiful. There's so many pearls in there and so many questions I have and threads I want to follow. But one thing that really stood out is when you were saying that it's present moment to present moment, and that like trusting what's coming in the present moment and being with what is, whether it's what shadow material or awe or the embrace of a lover or my frustrated child or whatever it may be. That made me think about dreams, like night dreams, and how in night dreams, like all those things come and happen. And I'm wondering if you could share, Jyoti Ma, how you orient to night dreams. I know that you graduated from the Zurich Institute, so you're a Jungian, and I'm sure have been steeped in other dreaming teachings. And so, what could you share with us about night dreams as that plays into the listening?
Well, I want to hold that question because it's a deep one for me.
Mm.
And I'm going to start off by sharing something that I had this deep burning question when I went to the Jung Institute. Carl Jung, for those that don't know, you can Google and see who he was. He was someone that brought an awareness into psychology, that brought the archetypal understanding and that realm into more present knowledge, and as a healing tool, but also as one that really looked at consciousness and how it wakes itself, how it sees itself. So the question that I went to the Jung Institute: is it dreaming me, or am I dreaming it? And who really knows?
Yeah, that's the question, eh?
And I sat with all these people of great intellect,
Yeah.
accomplishment there at the Jung Institute. And I asked this question everywhere I walked during the 3 years I was there. I would not complete everything because spirit would shift and change it for me. But I was there long enough for a lot of this awakening process through the dreaming world to occur. And I had some of the best guides ever to help me understand the material that was coming into consciousness through me and with me. So it was after I came back from the Jung Institute. I spent 3 years there. And then I was in Texas, where I had started, where I was living before I left to go to the Jung Institute. I was there for a little over about a year and a half. And then everything would shift and change, and I would be brought out to California. I'm sitting in California in my new living room and I'm meditating. And I wasn't thinking of this question, but all of a sudden, the whole ceiling filled up with this huge cosmic eye, an eye of the goddess, long lashes. And as she kind of looked at me sideways like that, she would blink as we do. And every time she did, I'd go deeper into a deeper trance.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, she started to giggle and she said, I'm dreaming you. And then poof, she was gone.
Oh.
And
Mm.
then I knew at that moment
Mm.
that when she woke up, I wouldn't be here anymore.
Mm. Mm.
So who's dreaming you?
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, this is this was something that stirred in me in a very deep, deep way. I went through a 13-year Kundalini awakening. It was very strong. It took me to India, where I would travel with and be with my teacher Dhyan Yogi, who gave me my name and put me all in white and declared my life of service with me and my husband. We're both that way. It would unfold itself in so many different ways, as I like to say. My elders will say that there's a story stalking each and every one of us, and when our soul is ready and strong enough to hold its own numinosity, then it'll pounce on and swallow you.
Mm.
And at that moment, your life is not your own. You've
Mm.
made the last choice to be in service. Yes, I'm going to be in service. I'm going to walk this way. And from that point on, the creator, the divine, whatever, however that is embodied for you, that begins to live in you. Then the Kundalini process, they say that when she opens, she puts a fire in the temple, and our body is like her temple. She cleans everything coming up all through the chakra systems and all the nadiyas, which if you will look on a Chinese chart and saw the lines that run through our body, wherever those lines cross, there's a little node, they call it a nada. And
Mm.
inside of that is where our karma is stored. So as she cleanses all of that out of our system, for the second phase to happen, and the second phase is when the old yogis would cup their tongue and hold it at the back of their mouth to catch the divine nectar as
Mm.
that would drop down inside, and it would cool the form. And when this part of the process started to happen with me, I could feel like a really fine dust would land all over me. If I had a sore on my face or something, they just disappear. And it smelled like roses. And I was told that all of us, when fully opened, have our own rose scent.
Mm.
So for the third stage to occur, and that's when divine presence steps within its temple, and then it walks in this creation, working the design of this creation, and we there get to witness that work and be in service to it. And so all of that comes back to your question of dreaming, because when all of this Kundalini activity started coming so strong, I had very, very lucid dreams. And as we begin to move into that archetypal realm of understanding, and we wake to the visible with the relationship of the invisible, something something in our awareness starts to reach a new level of perception and understanding. And so the way we walk shifts and changes as our consciousness expands itself, and our evolutionary process moves us into these higher realms of understanding. We do that individually, but now we're doing it collectively. We're doing it globally like never before. So what is Mother Earth dreaming? They say there was a grandmother that dreamed this creation and is still dreaming this creation today. And so that grandmother is the one we need to sit and have homage for the
Yes.
patience of her dreaming, for the deepening of our listening to that dreaming. Because when we walk in that present moment, like we've been talking about, we begin to realign ourselves with Mother Earth first, original wisdom next, and then all else lines up behind. And when we all line up like that, full abundance flows, reciprocity flows, life restores balance. So you're dreaming. What are you dreaming? What is she dreaming through you?
Mm-hmm.
These might be some of the questions I'd like to pose.
Yeah. Thank you. That's my favorite answer that I've ever heard about what is dreaming. And also, I want to say that it resonates and is validating because that's how I experience it as well. It's like she's dreaming us. Like she's dreaming us, and my dance with the dreaming is like inform me, instruct me, what do you need and where and when and why and how. And I am so grateful to hear those words come out of your mouth, Jyoti Ma. Thank you. And I do want to answer that your question of what is she dreaming, because I had a pretty beautiful one last night. I had a deep night of dreaming, but one that was uniquely powerful was it was around 4 o'clock this morning, and I was woken up and was held awake in like a kind of semi-lucid in between state, and I just saw this light figure kind of dancing in my mind's eye. But it was like, so you know how sometimes with dreaming, it's not like it doesn't feel like you're using your physical eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with this, it felt like I was using like the structure of my physical eyes, but on the inner. And it was just this light figure that was dancing, that was dancing, that was dancing. And I asked, like, well, who are you? Who are you? And my sense was it was her. It was a grandmother. And it was really, really, really beautiful. So that's what I dreamt last night.
Oh, what a great dream. I would encourage you today, while it's fresh living inside of you, that you close your eyes and you allow that light being to fully embody herself in you
Mm.
and let her dance. Let her dance. Maybe she has some favorite music that your intuition was she'll poke you and say, play this, you know. Maybe she wants you to sit and be in silence.
Yeah, she already has hit a song at me this morning during my prayers and devotions. Yeah,
Aha. Well, there
it's,
you go.
yeah, yeah.
There was a I'm going to pass on this mantra to you. It's coming to me, if that's all right.
Please.
Um, I was, as you've mentioned, myself and our community convened the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. We thought it was just going to be for 1 year, but when we got there, they decided to become the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. And then they asked to come under the blanket of the Center for Sacred Studies, which would give them time to determine what they needed and wanted to do. And there's a couple of things that come to mind in that moment, one of which was Rita Blumenstein again. She told us about a moment that her grandmother sat her down when she was 9 years old and told her that when she became old and gray like her, that she was going to be invited to sit on a council of 13 grandmothers. Grandmother went ahead and gathered 13 white eagle feathers and 13 sacred stones to bring into a bundle. Each of the bundles, 13 bundles this way, made of this with the feather and the stone. She told little Rita, I'm going to give you these bundles and you must take care of them and protect them until that time comes. And when that time comes, you pass them around to all the other grandmothers and you take a seat with yours and know that I'm standing behind you and the times we've been preparing for are now. And so she passed those 13 bundles out to the grandmothers. This is This is another level of how things come and how you can have validation over and over when you listen and follow and you're not sure. Your ego and mind are going, really? I don't understand. Well, if you just follow the instruction that way, as you make deeper relationships with the authenticity of that voice from within, and that relationship anchors itself more firmly in the center of who you are, then that begins to be how you move in life. Little Rita did, until that moment that she came to sit there. There were many that saw this prophecy of the grandmothers coming way before we put things in motion. It was something that was in mother's dreaming already, you know. And as I walk this path, as you align yourself with that mother first, and then the original caretakers and all the rest, I start to feel this impulse, this heartbeat of mother, and my heart and her heart become one heart. That impulse starts to move like that, and that restoration, that link to this beauty of creation has occurred, and now it's going to move with you in your own unique way, your own way of relating. So it'd be really important not to compare your way of receiving versus someone else's, because we're all uniquely who we are. So trust your own way of how that's presenting itself, and watch for the validation in the dreaming. In those early days, she was bringing all kinds of dreams of instruction. I would have people that would literally appear in this world as if they were made whole, like could touch them. They were like solid. It would come, give instruction, do some changing on my body, and then pop back where they had been. And it was blowing my mind. It was blowing all of my understanding of what reality looks like. She brought me to a place where there were people there that could hold this process and recognize it for what it was, so I could integrate it in a good way. She's always watching after us as our consciousness pushes itself like a rose bush out of the soil and into the sun. And it's a process that we can't make other people get conscious. We can recognize where their consciousness lives, so we can know better how to have harmony in our relations with others. She also told me our community one time early on, she said, "You're all herbs in my garden. Your job is to fully potentiate your herb. And once done, then I will determine what herbs I put in the pot to serve what parts on my skin in this creation." And that helped, because then someone that was really sticky and not easy, well, they were my cactus people, and inside them was this juicy, wonderful sweetness. Then there were my orchid people. The orchids were more fragile in themselves. They had a different level of sensitivity to things. I had to be aware of that. And so it went in the garden. So if we look at ourselves and others around us like that, what herb are you? What are the herbs coming to sit with you?
I have a bottle of hawthorn tincture here. I think that's something for me to sit with, but I think for me, I'm a hawthorn in a way.
So take a little and bless yourself with hawthorn.
You will.
And recognize the authenticity of who you are. Gets absorbed by the tongue and the tissue of the mouth, skin of the throat and the third eye and forehead. Blessing, blessing, blessing.
Thank you, Jyoti Ma. I just want to name what an honor it is to be sitting here with you and to be in your cloak and in your embrace. And I think that process started, last night in the dreaming. And I'm so grateful to be in connection with you in this moment. So thank you.
This granny is very glad to be sitting here with you, because I'm at a time in my life. I'm walking my 78th year around the sun, the way that our native relatives speak about time, because they count the time we're in our mama's uterus. They're already walking around the sun, you know.
Mm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
have that time like that. And so I do as well. But I'm at a time where we're recognizing there's a transmission occurring across the planet through our original people, through our root cultures, where ancestral wisdom is being passed to the next generations. I'm always want to sit with this next generation. I want to support you guys in the best way possible. You know, I remember when I was in Stockholm some years ago and we had been marching with some of the Fridays children, you know, the ones that have stood up to Davos and all kinds of places to shout out a wisdom and a truth. And we were meeting with them and I said, you know, we grandmas and grandpas, we want you to understand we're standing behind you and the ancestors are standing behind you. Everyone has that ancestral hand on their shoulder right now if we can listen and listen deeply as you began our talk today with that first question, listening deeply.
I wasn't planning to ask you this, Jyoti Ma, and I hope it's okay that I am, but I know that myself and many that are, in my that are younger are really facing in this moment like this presence of AI. Do you have any perspectives to share with us, either from your own listening or that you are hearing from your elders on that part of this moment on the planet?
Well, most of the elders that I would walk with, a lot of them don't even work with internet. You know, they've got their own internet system through Earth, and it's quite a busy web of life that's being restored and regenerated with every day and every
Mm.
breath because we're in kind of that kind of moment. So I want to just preface that
Hmm.
and honor that first. With the AI that's coming into this, interesting enough, because I'm a granny and that is not my world. That has not been where my work has happened. But I was just asked to endorse a book by a spiritual leader on AI. And so I went into this book with my curiosity.
Hmm.
I didn't want to go in with a judgment. I wanted to go in with a curiosity. I wanted to listen so I could understand where AI came from, how it grew into our Western culture, and how we got there. And if we feed it negative image and food, then it can bring us to devastation. If we, what he would say, but if we feed it with consciousness and an awareness, it can bring us into a more, it will bring us into the teachings of our interconnectedness. And so that's the question I would pose in the study, because a question like you asked for me, I like to call, oh, you've discovered your point of study. There's no one answer to your question. It means that on a spiritual path, when a question comes that can be a point of study, then you open that study and many answers may come from your dream world, from a book that falls off a shelf, from a podcast you're doing with a teacher, to a meeting with your child. It will come from all different directions to deepen the understanding of the question that opened that door to your study. So I would say this is a point of study for us right now. And interesting enough, I got to be a part, I was humbled and got to be a part of an event at Grace Cathedral this last weekend, last Saturday. It was called We Rise as One, and you can probably go online and look at it, and they were capturing it online, so you should be able to get a link to it all. It was quite remarkable to bring us out of grief and into gratitude, and from gratitude into unity, and the unity would lead us into the oneness of who we are in this moment of prophecy, in
Hmm.
this moment of profound change. We
Hmm.
can all agree on that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. And so, it's I'll just leave it kind of there, and maybe that will seed your point of study, because it's a good question. And I've opened that point of study for myself. And while I was at Grace Cathedral, someone there that actually helped to design the whole event he sent me a connection to a woman that has a spiritual teacher that has come into her AI, and it's bringing awareness like a channeling. And so he said he had been connecting with that intelligence and it helped him. So he wants me to go sit with her. So my point of study is open, and here's another place where I'm going to get to jump in and try this on to see what it's like. It's a new part of our dreaming.
Thank you so much, Jyoti Ma. I appreciate that. And yeah, I agree. I feel like the seed there was that point of study. And I appreciate too seeing you being in that process, like of staying, yeah, curious and open. And yeah, I will be there as well.
We'll have to talk later and see what
I
we.
know we'll have to talk later. We're speaking about like come back to the present moment, come back to the present moment. It's like, okay, well this is a part of the present moment. So
As this year opened, the mother said, remember, it's important to watch the ending as it falls so you can be mindful and strategic to walk the light of the new dawn through this year of the mind, MIND fields. And when I look back at 2025, it has been a minefield for sure. So that advice and instruction really, really has helped me walk through it. She also said, you will have to walk holding ultimate paradox. Jung said that the cure was in the ultimate paradox.
yeah.
And the way that Jung described that was that you bring two extreme opposites together. And that's when you're holding that ultimate paradox, and it begins to create and generate a heat within if you saw each of your hands as an opposite, the real center of that would be this fire. And the fire and the friction are so that the soul can imprint itself with a new place it's about to step in your own authenticity. And when that imprint is complete, then it moves us to this next place in our path of authenticity. If we're not able to hold those opposites and our mind takes over or something, then our ego is going to take us, but we're not going to be in that alignment with our authenticity. This is a moment like never before for all of us to hold the opposite, which means we're not going to choose one or the other. We're going to hold those opposites in a non-judgmental way. And then the mother will determine when we've been imprinted and we fall now into this next part of Earth's story, Earth streaming.
Well, grandmother, I'm wondering if there's anything else that wants to be shared or said, both for my own heart and the hearts of everyone who will listen to this. Is there any words of wisdom that you feel called to share with us?
I'm listening. And what I'm hearing is it's important that you know whose territory you live on, to connect with those that had the original care of that land you live on. And once you do, then you don't go seeking. You allow that knowledge to bring an elder that will help you understand better the protocol of that place you live on. This is really important time for you to also understand and know the root of your own tree, the root that started an impulse of life that has been brought up through the generations and that you are an expression of today. Because each of us has our own ancestor with our hand on our shoulder to guide us through these times. When you catch your mind and when you're practicing this present moment, your job will be to witness. And when you're in your witness, the witness will see when the mind jumped out of the present moment and started to run ahead and look at what's going to happen. And then you can bring fear back into your present moment. Just touch your heart and choose present moment. Then watch, and if your mind catches you, your witness catches your mind jumping out to go behind you, then that can bring regret into the present moment. Touch your heart. I choose present moment. I choose present moment. In present moment, there is no thinking. In present moment, there is full being. When you get off this moment with us this morning, Lauren, thank you for your beautiful way of spinning and moving us through her story. Thank you for that. For those that are listening, I thank you that you're catching some of that. Use it as you wish. And if it doesn't work for you, throw it away. It's okay. You're the only authority there is for yourself. Now trust yourself and love yourself because you are precious to life itself. Bring that knowing home.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Grandmother Jyoti Ma. I'm so, so, so grateful for this time with you and so grateful that everybody that will be listening also gets to receive this time. And yeah, I just want to say again, thank you for your walk. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for your walk because now we are marching.
Woo!